I want to get to some clips from a Fox News segment that likely made Trump very, very unhappy. I'm just waiting for his Truth Social rage over what I'm going to play for you here. But before we get to that, I didn't know where to put this, and so we're going to put it at the very beginning of this segment, which is the transcript of Trump's shark electrocution rant. So at this rally, as we covered, he got on this random rant about being electrocuted if he's in a boat with a battery, and then do I get electrocuted by the battery or get eaten by a shark? And I've said before, Trump is incoherent in the way that he speaks. He's not good at taking the English language, processing it, delivering it out of his mouth in a way that makes a whole lot of sense, that is nicely structured. And that's the case when you're listening to him speak. It's a whole nother level when you're reading the text of what he said. And so let me read to you what he said at this Las Vegas rally. Former president of the United States, current presidential candidate, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump. So I said, let me ask you a question. And he said, nobody ever asked this question. And it must be because of MIT, my relationship to MIT. Very smart. He goes, I say, what? What would happen if the boat sank from its weight? And you're in the boat and you have this tremendously powerful battery, and the battery is now underwater. And there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Squirrel. Did you notice that? A lot of shark. I watched some guys justifying it today. Well, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were not hungry. But they misunderstood who she was. Sorry, I should say. They misunderstood who she was. These people are cray. He said, there's no problem with sharks. They just didn't really understand. A young woman swimming now really got decimated. And other people, too. A lot of shark attacks. So I said... So back to my story. So I said... So there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat. 10 yards. Or here... This is so difficult to understand. So there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat. 10 yards. Or here. Did I get electrocuted? If the boat is sinking. I'm really struggling. Do I get electrocuted? If the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery. The boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I'll tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, nobody's ever asked me that question. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through the water. But you know what I'd do? If there was a shark or get electrocuted, I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the char. There it is. Moving on from that, and it's an unwell man. That brain is not functioning like it should. Here is former Republican Speaker of the House being allowed on Fox News to absolutely decimate, as Trump said, like a shark to a leg, and devastate and destroy and dilapidate? No, that's not the right word. Other words that continue in my alliteration. Donald Trump.
Right now, I know a lot of these folks who also shared your same concerns about Donald Trump have sort of said, all right, we're rallying around Donald Trump. You had said, though, that would not be the case with you. You had said that he's a populist and an authoritarian narcissist, that character is too important to me.
The world is ending. And that's why you need to buy my emergency preparedness kit for your bunker. No, of course not. But that's the message that people like Alex Jones deliver to get their followers to buy hundreds of millions of dollars worth of junk at their store and pills for all sorts of things. I don't do that. Main way you can support the work that we're doing is free, and it's just clicking that subscribe button. If you haven't done it already, make it happen.
And it's a job that requires the kind of character he just doesn't have. That's pretty strong.
Yeah, that's the way I feel. I agree with that.
Yeah. And remember that Trump is constantly watching Fox News. So pretty good chance he was having to listen as the host listed off, and then Paul Ryan confirmed the brutal descriptions of Trump. Accurate descriptions, that is. Here's more.
Voted for him in 2016. hoping that there was going to be a different kind of person in office. And I do think character is a really important issue. If you put yourself above the Constitution, as he has done.
But what happened?
I think that makes you unfit for office.
Was it the whole January 6th thing?
That's a part of it. I think it's a contribution of factors, but I think it really is just character at the end of the day. And the fact that if you're willing to put yourself above the Constitution, an oath you swear when you take office, in federal office, whether it's president or a member of Congress, you swear an oath to the Constitution. And if you're willing to suborn it to yourself, I think that makes you unfit for office.
Does it?
Yeah, it sounded like there Cavuto was sort of asking for clarification on how Trump tried to put himself above the Constitution, as Paul Ryan is characterizing it as. And one of the things that, for lack of a better term, could most consistently trigger me is remembering how few Americans really grasp, have been fully read in on what it was that Trump tried to do whenever he lost the 2020 election, and how he tried to put together fraudulent electors that would have been the justification if Pence had gone along with it to keep Trump in power, and how he was even considering, beyond the things he really did that we've gone through so many times, considering invoking martial law, suspending ordinary law, seizing military control of the government to stop the peaceful transfer of power. People said, don't do that. Those people won't be in the room next time. And even if we get away from him trying to block the peaceful transfer of power, which should be so disqualifying for anyone, just don't even bring it up, okay? I don't want to get into that rant again. Let's set that aside. But also, Trump called for the termination of the Constitution. So even if you, which you can't, but even if you have a different interpretation of events when it comes to after Trump lost the election, what he was doing, he explicitly called for the termination of the Constitution in service of those election lies. And that post is still up, and we've gone over it 2 billion times at this point in time. So you can't say you care one single bit, not a drop, not a drip drop, nothing. Not an iota, not an ounce, not any other term, the slightest bit about the Constitution. If you're saying you support Trump, you support Trump, you like the Constitution when rhetorically it's nice to reference it in service of Trump, but you don't like the Constitution by itself. You don't want to put that above your love for Trump. So just, if that's how you feel, accept it and then be honest about that. Because you can't support someone who's called for the termination of that Constitution and then say that you care one single bit about the Constitution. So let's just get that clear. Back to Paul Ryan.
When he heard your comments, he posted this on Truth Social last month. Rupert Murdoch should fire this pathetic rhino, Paul Ryan, from the board of Fox. He said that Ryan is a loser, always has been, always will be. He was the weakest and most incompetent Speaker of the House in its history.
That's saying
Fox
something.
will sink to the absolute bottom of the pack if Paul Ryan has anything to do with it. You do serve on our board of directors, so he's saying you shouldn't.
Yeah. Look, I got death, taxes, and weird stuff from Donald Trump. These are the 3 certainties in my life. So to me, it's just another day in a life. Look, fealty to Trump is what rhino is, right? Meaning if you don't pledge fealty to this man, then you are a rhino. It used to mean a liberal Republican versus a conservative. I'm a conservative Republican. He's a populist. He's not a conservative. I want to see someone who has fidelity to principles. I would prefer a party that is based on principles, not personality or populism. This populism is untethered to principles, and that's why, I'm an anti-establishment Republican.
But you knew him.
Yeah, and listen, Paul Ryan, he is so wrong on so many things on policy. And by the way, just while I'm talking, it was decided way above my pay grade to bring in all of the construction in DC and put it all right next to our office for the last few days. So if you hear any noises, that's what that is. The ground is shaking occasionally. It's very strange. So I'm trying not to get distracted from that. But Paul Ryan is so wrong on so many things, but he at least gets that, okay, maybe we can't have this democratic republic that is so fantastic if we sacrifice it in deference to, in service of Trump. And so even if he feels, and I don't know, it doesn't sound like he's endorsing Biden. But at least he's staying critical of Trump, understanding that even if on some policies he's more aligned with Trump, the one policy that matters the most, which is our democracy, a dedication to our Constitution, Trump's wrong on that. And so he has to speak out against it. And that I can have some respect for, even with all of the bad, terrible policy positions of someone like Paul Ryan. And the fact that he's currently bolstering one of the most destructive forces in American politics by sitting on the board of Fox. Here is another clip that I have for you. It seems, speaking of Fox, that Hannity and others are sort of starting to toy with the idea of Trump not showing up to the debates.
Now, there are some even saying, Mark, that Donald Trump might be wise to just pass on the first debate, wait till he's nominated, then debate him. What would you say to that?
Yeah, and I think that the fear from Trump and thus the Fox News float, so the floating of maybe Trump skips the first debate, is because, listen, he doesn't want to have to be told this by Biden on stage.
After a school shooting in Iowa that killed a student and a teacher, my predecessor was asked about it. You remember what he said? He said, have to get over it. Hell no, we don't have to get over it. We got to stop it. We got to stop it and stop it now.
And they'll say that Biden's jacked up or high as a kite with no evidence. But I think it's just them being scared of actually showing up. Is Biden the most compelling speaker we've had? No. Okay, obviously. Is he aging? Yeah. And that's impacting his delivery of some of these messages. But when it counts, what we've seen, say the union, debates, major democracy speech, etc., he does show up with the energy necessary. And that, I think, is what Trump's scared of. Even though Trump's been saying this.
Come on, Joe, let's do it. Anywhere, anytime, any place.
So let's play those clips if Trump does back out of the debate over and over and over and over and over again to point out the contradiction there. Let me know a few different things in that segment, the Trump incoherence, the Paul Ryan, the debate stuff. Let me know what you think of all of it in the comments, and you can become a member. Get the members-only episode of the show daily by clicking that join button below.